Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Calvas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about emotional intelligence and its holistic impact. In today's dynamic world, understanding and harnessing the emotional intelligence has become a cornerstone for personal as well as for professional success. EI goes beyond IQ, influencing how we navigate complexities, connect with others, and manage our own emotions. In this session, we will discuss the profound effect of EI on various facets of life, exploring its holistic impact on relationships, leadership, well being, and overall success. So, really very interesting topic, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from this session because we have an expert with us in today's this session. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Calvas for arranging such enlightening sessions, for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Calvas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, and suggestions which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually as well as to contribute to the world at large. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have amazing person as guest. She is an internationally known personality, and we always see her while contributing to the field and world in different positive ways. And the great thing about her that she is always ready to share her knowledge. So let me introduce her formally for those who are joining for the first time. She is a global goodwill ambassador in the humanitarianism, GIA, USA, and South Africa ambassador, ladies of all nations, international UK, South Africa country director, igniting dreams of young minds, South African national director, International Youth Society president, South Africa chapter, Success World One Academy, global ambassador, global educator, fraternity, CEO and founder, the MEA company, co-founding director, Helping Hands Social Society, and the multiple global accolade award winner include being one of the top 100 women in business in the world, as well as one of the top 30 women of the leaders and change internationally. Along with that, she has entered the Women Appreciating Women Global Hall of Fame in London, international public speaker and women empowerment specialist, sitting on multiple women's forums, GPV platforms, and head up COVID-19 and various communal initiatives to empower humanity. Last but not the least, she's a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, and above everything, a great human being. So please help me once again, our guest, Professor Dr. Mehreen Mia. Welcome to the Canvas platform once again, and thank you very much for joining us, Prof.
Thank you so much, Dr. Haider. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you and to everyone across the world, wherever you are. So I've just greeted everyone in the universal greeting of peace with blessings. So good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, wherever you are listening to us. And yes, it's such an honor to be with you again. And I thank Kalwas and I thank you, Dr. Haider Shah, for this opportunity. And inshallah, I look forward to doing many more programs together with you next year so we can really
Yeah,
help to benefit our humanity. So thank you
definitely.
again for that introduction.
Thank you so much, and it's always pleasure to have you with us because the way you share your wisdom and the way you share your knowledge is so great, and that's so helpful for our audience from around the globe. So over to you, Prof. Thank you.
Sure, thank you so much again. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So today we're talking about a topic called emotional intelligence for holistic impact. What is the holistic impact of this? Now you'll find that there's many webinars you would hear. This is a topic and something that is spoken about very often. But why am I wanting to focus on this so much now? Is that this is not just about emotional intelligence for one specific group, one specific age group, one specific gender, or any specific person. Emotional intelligence is not something that just needs to fly by. It is something every one of us really needs to understand. We have to grasp this And we have to know how important it is. If you want to attend an empowerment workshop, if you want to grow yourself and find who you are and find your purpose and grow who you need to be and develop yourself, whether it's in your business or in your personal space, a very key aspect of getting that done successfully is for you to be emotionally intelligent. And if you don't understand that, but more so if you don't understand what that means for you holistically, how does it impact you, then it's not going to really make a difference no matter how many workshops you attend. Because everything about you becoming you is just that. It is about you. And emotional intelligence is just that. It's about you as a person. Are you intelligent enough about your emotions? Are you intelligent enough about what your emotions do to you? How does it impact you? What are those triggers about your emotions that create certain behavior patterns in you? These are very important, small aspects, but big aspects because they impact on your reactions to life. They impact on your perception and how are you perceiving things that are happening around you. So, emotional intelligence for me is a holistic concept. It's not something that's just isolated about just dealing with your emotion only. It's holistically impacting you as a complete being. And your feelings that you have are directly connected to your well being on every level. And when you understand that, then you will want to grow your intelligence of your emotions to a level that enhances you in your holistic well being. And to fully understand this impact of feelings, you have to understand in what context are you getting these feelings? In what context do you experience the feelings that you are experiencing? Because that is your prediction and predicated on what your personality is, what your experiences are, how are you actually being cognitive of what you're enduring, what is your performance level like, what is your attitude about things, how are you mentally programming yourself, because your emotions, feelings, thoughts, all of those are directly linked into each other that make up you as a holistic being. And something Dr. Haider Shah did say in his introduction of this topic and of me earlier was that emotional intelligence is something that's very much important, just as important as your actual intelligence quotient as well. And I would like to enhance that. It's not just your academia that can get you to be successful. You being a holistic, well someone, being in touch with your emotional self, your intelligent self needs to balance. And when you have that balance is equal to your actual success. Success is not just one way inclined. So it's not just you going into university. Your IQ, for example, would be dependent on your logic. Your IQ would be dependent on your spatial reasonings. Your IQ would be dependent on how you verbally reason, on your memories, on your recall, stuff like that. Your emotional intelligence will help you about your self awareness. It will help you about how to manage you as a person, as a self, in every situation you endure. It will help you to make proper decisions when you are needing to make responsible decisions. It will help you to build your skills with relationships and the networks you need to develop. It will help you to become more socially aware. So your impact on humanity, on social lives, and your family life, all of that is actually made and done with benefit to you and to those around you. So emotional intelligence is actually important, if not more important, than you merely having an academic intelligent IQ. And that for me is key for every one of us to understand, because emotional intelligence is something we can actually try to even inculcate in our schools. It's something I'm doing now here in South Africa in a few schools. And I know some of the programs I run is currently working in other schools. But it's important because our children need to develop the sense of having intelligence about their emotions and understanding what's their triggers and understanding themselves from a younger age on. And it would help us to alleviate the issues of the bullying that they experience, even the GBV matters, etc., because they become so in tune with the emotional side. They know how to balance it out. They know what are my triggers, what exactly is happening to me, how must I react to it that's going to be good for me and for those that I'm reacting to. So it's important for us to understand the process. And we have to use our emotions in positive ways. All of us, no matter what ages we are. It means that you are able to then manage your emotions in a way that's going to allow you to succeed. to succeed in how you communicate with other people, to succeed when you behave more intentionally because you're more focused on what exactly does my behavior have to be right now. And then it will help you to connect more holistically with other people, yes, but more so with yourself, with all parts of who you are. And becoming more emotionally intelligent as a person will involve many core principles, but the very important ones are what I've just mentioned: the self-awareness, the self-regulations, the how to make your decisions, properly and responsibly, how to build your relationships, and how to have empathy in that relationship building exercise, and of course, to develop your social skills is key. And that is very directly linked to the awareness that we're going to talk about. So just to touch on these concepts quickly so we understand what we're talking about. Self-awareness, very important. You can't stress self-awareness enough. No matter what it is that you want to be successful about, especially within you. If you are not aware of something, how will you know it needs to change? If you are not aware of a negative impact of something, how do you know it's negatively impacting you to change it to something positive? So you being aware of things, different aspects of your life, including your traits, your behaviors, your feelings, that is important, because emotional intelligence begins with this awareness that your emotions exist. Those feelings, those emotions, those triggers, everything is there, it exists. And your awareness begins when you are able to actually give meaning and significance to what you are feeling. That is key for you to understand yourself, and that's becoming aware. And many of us, sometimes we just left at the mercy of whatever our bodies are telling us. So your feelings and your attachment styles, for example, when you're unable to actually know what you're doing and feeling, then you just succumb to whatever the body is feeling or what you're experiencing, instead of trying to understand why, where, and how can I make it better. So self-awareness begins with just that articulation of me understanding me and what I'm feeling. What am I feeling? When do I start to feel this way? Do I have certain things that trigger the certain feeling in me all the time? Or is it just once off that it's going to go away? You might want to journal stuff. You might want to take walks sometimes. You might want to meditate. You might want to just do whatever feels good for you, for your countenance, for you to grow, but for you to develop the sense of self-awareness. Time out. 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour a day. A timeout makes you become more in tune with you. And that's what the self-awareness is about. Sometimes you need to look for a confidant, a friend. We try and train people to have mentors nowadays, so it helps as a guide for you, because we're so engrossed with whatever the world is giving us. The whole key, though, is for you to understand your wheel of emotion and your triggers on that wheel of emotion. What are they? And we can have multiple talks and workshops on these things. But implementing these strategies about you being aware of you as the self is still only going to work when you do the application of the principles for you as a person, as an individual. Because every individual is different. Every individual circumstance is different. So the application of a self-awareness concept principle is also going to be different for every one of us. However basic it is, like I've just said, one of us can find whichever method works. Maybe it's for you to write down every day. Maybe it's for you to talk to somebody every day or every second day. But find a method that works for you, that can help you build yourself by understanding yourself. And that's how you develop that sense of self-awareness. The other concept I spoke about earlier was self-regulation. Very, very directly linked to you being aware of yourself, because once you're aware of you, once you're aware of certain things about you, then you are able to manage and you're able to monitor your different energy states that you experience. That obviously contributes to your behaviors, whether it's a positive behavior, negative behavior, responsible behavior, irresponsible one, healthy one, not so healthy one. But you're only going to be able to regulate your behavior when you're aware of the behavior. So you see the direct link between the both concepts. I need to develop self-regulation about me once I'm aware of aware of certain things about me. So once you're able to identify certain triggers, any specific trigger, or any of your emotions in a specific context, then your self-regulation comes in. And that's when you take a bit of time out that you give to yourself to understand that emotion. How is it actually manifesting in me? Is it good for me or not? Sometimes we can get caught off guard, and your emotions can start to become detrimental for you. So for example, you may be somebody who's really good at what you're doing, and suddenly you're in a work space and you're given a deadline, and you're feeling suddenly very overwhelmed because it's closer now to the deadline, even though you've prepped, even though you've done everything. But because you have this overwhelming sense of, I don't know what I'm going to do, what if they're not going to accept what I'm saying, what if I haven't really done enough, etc., you start to self-doubt. And then you suddenly shut down, close to the deadline moment, but you start to shut down because you allow that anxiety or apprehension that you are feeling to kind of take over and, sort of hijack your body. So the negatives that you start to feel that overwhelm you hijack you out of the sense of being self-regulated. But self-regulation, if you build yourself up to know, I can regulate my emotions, knowing and being in tune with yourself, take that same scenario. When you are going to regulate yourself and you know how, then you will allow you to identify as soon as these emotions start to trigger you. And rather than you shutting down straight away as soon as it starts to happen, you take a step back and you actually able to work through what is your behavior, what are the triggers, and how can I not allow the negative to be to overwhelm me. That's how intelligent you have to be about your emotions so that you can regulate you as a self. And there are lots of methods that you can use, techniques that you can use for self-regulation. The most common one that we use across, we try and treat everybody, is the 5-4-3-2-1 method. The one where as soon as you feel this onslaught of a whole lot of emotions happening with you, and they start to take over your body, or you feel like that's going to happen, then you start a kind of a subconscious countdown, 5-4-3-2-1, until you actually become real again. Because the overwhelming sense is you not being real. It's everything happening like that. But once you start to count down, you become more focused, you become more relaxed, and the whole buzz starts to become more calmer. So you can start that, or you can do a breathing technique, or you can learn which spaces are good for you, how you can go into those spaces. But there are many ways for you to learn this concept of self-regulation. How can I regulate what is going on with me, especially if it's becoming negative? That then impacts again on something else that's direct, which is how you make your decisions. So, like Dr. Shah said before, it's, emotional intelligence impacts you as a leader in your leadership skills and your leadership styles. It impacts you in your well-being. No matter what your role is that you play, you need emotional intelligence. For your success in life, however you define your success, you need to be emotionally intelligent. But in all of those roles, whether it's the leader, whether it's the corporate person, whether you're a stay-at-home someone, whether you're a student, every one of those roles means you have to make decisions, and you have to make conscious decisions. However, those decisions have to be real, responsible, personal decisions. That means you have to have responsible decision-making skills. And when you are in tune with yourself emotionally, and you are intelligent about your emotions, then your decision-making skills becomes more clear. It becomes more apt. And it means then that you can take a very careful, a very measured approach to becoming someone who can take to getting conclusions more realistically, more beneficial, more impactful on the things that you need to happen for you, that will benefit you, but also a decision that will help to benefit those around you. Because being emotionally intelligent is not just about you. It is about you knowing you, your triggers, what works for you, but your reactions as well to others around you. Because once you're so in tune with yourself and you're aware with what is happening with you, you will automatically be able to see these things in other people too. Therefore, how you would perceive them would automatically make you react more positively as opposed to more negatively. So you being intelligent emotionally actually helps your reactions to people. It helps your actions out to people as well, but it helps your perception of others and also helps you to react to them accordingly. That means you're already making decisions properly. How am I supposed to react to this? I'm going to do it more clearly, more defined. So rather than simply focusing on logic or what we call objective reasoning, using your emotions can help you make more complex decisions with more confidence and, of course, with more ease. Because that's what we look for. We don't want to be overwhelmed when we need to make decisions. Once you get into this flow of self-awareness, like I just spoke about, once you become in tune with your self-regulation process, then you can use your emotions to make decisions about your present that's going to affect your future. And that is key for every one of us, no matter how you are, no matter what role you are playing, this affects you, it impacts you. Why? Because everything about what we're doing right now, what Dr. Shah, what I'm doing here, is we're connecting, we're networking, we're communicating. And in order to do any one of these things, we are actually needing you as an audience across the world. But how am I getting across to you is important. How does Dr. Shah get across to you is important. How are you perceiving us is important. But for us to know how to do it appropriately, properly, with God's help, we're doing it efficiently, and how you are perceiving us, hopefully positively, that is all about intelligence and your emotions being intelligent. So when we're talking about this network, it's all about us building relationships. And when we're building these relationships, why am I doing what I do with you now across the world? Why does Dr. Shah do what he's doing with Kalwas for humanity at large? Because we feel for people, because we empathize with people, because we build relationships with every one of the people that we touch, whether it's in physical form, online, but we're trying to make that impact on people. But first, we impact ourselves with what we're doing. We impact ourselves by feeling whole, that we've given off 200% of ourselves to this person, to the people, to our audience. And then we feel motivated inside to do even more. We're building relationships through the empathy that we feel. Sometimes we can think of the most fruitful, useful outcomes that can come across when we're using emotional intelligence through the relationships that we build. Because if Dr. Shah, for example, and myself did not connect, where we didn't have the respect, the mutual respect, and we didn't connect on this intelligent emotional level to know that we can do something for humanity together, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing now. And that starts with just that, building this relationship on how we can empathize and use what we want to do for a joint vision and a joint cause. When you want to understand yourself, and the way that emotions are felt in your body, how is it affecting you? This can impact the way that you interact then with other people. So it increases your understanding and your empathy level towards others, which you can have so that you don't harbor ill feelings. You actually take away the ill feelings and you see things differently. That's what we do. So sometimes when you talk about empathy, people won't understand what that is. But the simple means of, for example, when you check in on someone, when you just want to know how is somebody, like if next week I don't hear from Dr. Shah and I say, Dr. Haider, Shah, are you well? Is everything good? How are things in your country? It's just a mere check-in, but it's a check-in that shows I care. It's a check-in that me and my family care for him and his family. It's just a check-in, but for him, it means a little bit that there is someone there. Is that what we all wish to feel? This is a hypothetical example, Dr. Shah, that I'm using. But that's how we all want to connect. We want to know that everyone in the universe, every one of us in humanity are here for each other. That's what builds us. And when we do the check-in with everybody, and we do this as, schedule, we do schedule check-ins with our family, with our friends, with colleagues, whatever. Whether it's on a person or a video chat, whether it's on a phone, it actually helps to enhance the emotion of the person you are checking in on. That is empathy towards each other. And when you're doing that, you're offering emotional support. You sometimes don't even know that somebody is yearning for support. But just your check in with the person builds that support for the person, and you don't even know you did that. That's empathy. And when you're showing this empathy and building your relationships, you're actually growing this idea of building conflict resolution for yourself and with people. Because that involves you driving your negatives or whatever is a controversial understanding or misunderstanding to something that resolves properly. So you build ties instead of break ties. You break down every barrier that there is by keeping the communication and building relationships because you're empathetic to each other. And that automatically then leads us to how we build our social skills through this awareness. So, from what I spoke about earlier when I started, that self awareness, the self awareness, you important as a self, we then grow into how to regulate ourselves and what we are feeling. So, the self awareness directly linked into your self regulation, directly then linked into your decision making skills, which is automatically linked in how I'm going to build relationships with people and network through empathy. That automatically links now to our social skills and how we are aware of each other and building and moving beyond the relationship with people close to you. When you are emotionally intelligent, it is necessary for you to learn how social situations are also important and what are the social cues that you might see or feel, that affect you, that become triggers for you. Because a very important point is when we are outside of talking to people, we have to know that 55%, I think approximately, of human communication is actually not verbal. People are listening to me speak right now, but if I'm in a hall full of people, like when I do a workshop, for example, there's like 500 people standing there or sitting there, and I'm the only one talking. I'm the only one verbalizing. But their reactions, the 500 people in front of me, have a reaction to what I'm saying. That also is a form of communication for me. So at least 55% of the time, people have communication with you that are not verbal. And emotionally intelligent people will be aware of these cues. You will be able to accurately interpret somebody who's not even talking to you in front of you. Why? Because you are so in tune with you, so you can see these things in others. Watch what people do sometimes rather than what people are saying, because they can be, assuring you, for example, that they're having a good time. If you're having a function, for example, somebody can say, "Oh, no, I'm good, I'm fine, thank you." But if they look withdrawn and if they look tired or if they look downtrodden, it may just be your cue to understand there's emotions happening with this person. So they're not verbalizing it, but I need to see it. These are all cues and very important things that we have to know, because socially we want to be accepted and socially we want to be respected. And we always say respect is earned. How? Because we need to come across as somebody who's deserving and earning that respect. Why do we do that? It's part of being human. It's part of our human nature. And the more we're able to get in tune with who we are, the more we will attract people that are of our like kind. And that makes that building of relationships more peaceful. We break down the barriers more easily. We even agree to disagree about things more easily. Sometimes the miscommunication is also the issue. Somebody is saying something, you don't really get what they're saying, but automatically it has a trigger inside you. If you already doubt it, or for example, if somebody has said something and you just don't really get it, pause and ask them to repeat themselves so you do get what they're saying. Because clarifying is the best way to avoid miscommunication. And that kind of clarity that you will get is going to allow you time and space to absorb what is that person actually trying to say to me? What are the impacts of what they're saying to me? It's also in the tone of voice that we use. Sometimes people will say things that might need to come across in a specific way, but comes across in the wrong way. But how are people around you saying what they're saying? How are you saying things to other people? How are they then perceiving you? So delivery of what is communicated is just as important as what is being delivered to you. So everything about emotional intelligence is about the layers. These different layers construe who we are. These different layers make us become who we need to be. And understanding each layer between us for us first makes us understand others as well. So remember that we need to be intelligent, but you need to be intelligent about your emotion, not just for yourself. Being intelligent about your emotions helps you, yes. You get through all the concepts we spoke about just now. You become so aware of yourself. You're good. You know your triggers. You know what's happening with you. You're able to regulate yourself and your emotions and manage those emotions before they take you over. You're able to build good relationships with people. You're able to empathize with people. You grow yourself so that you can make good decisions when they need to be made, no matter what your role is. And then you have great social skills because you accept the cues of others. You reach out and you know these things. So all about you becomes so good. But when you become that good and you even keep growing as life keeps progressing, you actually also building those around you at the same time. Because when you become an empowered somebody and when you become emotionally in tune with who you are, people start to see this. And you start to foster this catalyst effect of positivity. And you start to notice these things in other people too. And you will learn measures about what really works and what doesn't work when I need to relay a message. And because you've done that, you'll learn how does this person's reaction to what I've just said make me get their message. It's all about learning, understanding, unlearning, and then learning again. That's the whole thing about life. And this is why it's such an important concept for me to understand how emotional intelligence it does really have an impact on you as a person, but not just on one aspect. Emotional intelligence has an impact on you holistically. It can affect you no matter where you're at, no matter what your job is. We all need relationships. We all need to keep communicating with people, no matter how, where, why, everything about anything is about communication. So you need to network and you need to better understand you because that automatically means I can better understand other people too. When we talk about this, lots of people would say, okay, so if I'm emotionally intelligent, then what about me if I'm somebody who's sick, if I'm somebody who has body issues, if I'm somebody who has health issues, then what is the link between your emotion and your health? Very often we find people's health actually deteriorate because the emotions become so baggaged and it compounds. And then when you come for therapy, we have to kind of unpack the layers for you. And you find out where was the true cause of your actual underlying ailment that you now have. So very often your emotional health, you have to understand, is linked to your holistic perspective of your well-being. And that automatically means that you holistically have an impact from what you're feeling, from your emotions and your thought patterns. These are key for you to understand, for you to grow you and develop you. And in most things in life, especially your well-being, begins in your mind. And once it begins in your mind, it transcends throughout your body. And then it becomes, how do I manage this from an interpersonal perspective? So that self-awareness is key. But your emotional literacy is also key. Work that together, and that is your base and a foundation for you to develop who you can be and build that. Your structured you that is built on that as a foundation makes for nobody that can break you down. No emotion will break you down. No circumstance will break you down because you will learn skills about how can I not let this overwhelm me. The key factor is I cannot control what's around me. I cannot control people around me. I can't control their thoughts about me. I can't control what people would say about me. The only thing you can control is you. The only thing I can control is me. I can't control other people's actions. I can't control other people's thoughts. I can only control my reaction to those. That is my power. My power is in my reaction. My power is how am I intelligent enough about my emotions, my triggers, so that my reaction is not negative for me first. That is the key, right? That's exactly what we need to do because emotional fitness is actually all about your self-management. It's about your self-motivation. It's about you learning, how do I control my impulsive behavior so it's not so impulsive anymore from a negative perspective? How do I build my resilience to such a level that no matter what it is I'm enduring, I still see that this difficulty is a window of opportunity for me. It doesn't take me over. I actually control it. It doesn't control me. That's where your mental toughness comes in. And that mental toughness automatically means that your emotional health can sometimes be in your hand. And you can take true control of how you can be healthy again. Because whether it's your personal context, whether it's your professional context, emotional intelligence is all about the energy. Emotional intelligence is all about your engagement with each other, your performance levels. How are you getting what you're wanting? Is it actually constructive for you, or is it becoming destructive? Especially if you're in the leadership roles that we spoke about earlier. Is it working for you or isn't it? Are you seeing results that you really wish to see, or is it becoming results that are just not what you want? So this concept of emotional intelligence is like it's like a integration of psychology together with your performance thinking. And that creates this flow, a kind of a flow for optimal results, not just in your business, not just in any other way, but it's optimal results that your success relies on. It's optimal results that your family relies on, and optimal results that will build you as you build yourself through people and around people. That's what makes us who we have to be. So no matter what your role is, no matter what you define yourself as, if I ask you now, who are you? Most of them will probably give me an answer about what profession they have. But I'm saying, who are you? What makes up you? What are your triggers in life that, give you the negative connotations? What are you looking for in life? Next 10 years, what's your vision? And if you have the vision, what is your mission statement to get your vision attained? What exactly is happening with you right now? You're listening to us right now. Is anything I'm saying resonating with you? You listen to so many of Dr. Shah's beautiful podcasts and videos. Any one of those lessons hit home with you. These are little things that matter because no matter where you are in the world, what your role is and what you're playing in your role, what your duties are, what your responsibilities are, you being in touch with you is your power. You being in touch with your triggers of your emotions is your power. You understanding how your emotions impact you holistically is your power. And that makes for you to grow yourself. That helps you to develop yourself. And that makes you become someone that is so empowered that you are able to make clear decisions for you, for those around you, for life itself. And the one thing I teach and the one thing I know firsthand is life is going to constantly throw us upheavals, difficulties. There's always things that are going to come up that's going to be negative. But life is still there. This is still my circle. So I am still going to have to be in control of life. I have to be in control of how am I balancing this life. Life is given to me as my gift. What am I doing in my gift of life to take control of that so that nothing takes that away from me. Nothing takes me away from me. That power sits with each one of us. And it's all about you being intelligent about what makes up you. And most of what makes up us is emotion. Emotion. Everything, every day. You're waking up, you're feeling some sense of emotion, whether you're tired or happy to face the day when you wake up. You're going to bed, you're facing an emotion. Throughout the day, how many emotions are you actually feeling throughout that day? You'd be in your car, you're feeling rage because you're getting late, somebody is driving too slow in front of you. Get to the office, somebody is suddenly happy because it's their birthday. Change of emotion again. Then you go into a hectic meeting when you're doing a presentation. Okay, going back to another emotion. Your whole day is filled up with multitudes of information. And your emotion is that. Emotions are information. So what are you doing with the data you're capturing inside you? How are you programming your data to make you more holistically positive? Your journey is there. And we're given 3 gifts in our journey. You're given a gift of you, given this gift of life, and you're given this gift of choice. And what you're choosing to do with the time you have through your life is about what you're going to live your life with. So becoming more emotionally intelligent will build you holistically. And its impact when you're going to really get into you being an intelligent somebody about your emotions, that impact is going to be beyond powerful for you. So I'm going to pause there, Dr. Shah, and I'm hoping that everyone who's listening to us has had something that they can take away that will help them build themselves emotionally as well. Inshallah.
Yeah, wow, Prof. Mehreen, so wonderful the way you just described each and everything right from the definition. And I love your fundamental concepts and the important key major elements that are responsible for the emotional intelligence from awareness and the way you just talked about the different concepts because I used to read the different self-development books and these concepts are there in the various scholars have already highlighted these wonderful concepts of what you were talking about. It is the energy and it is the self management and emotion is in every aspect, and that's very true. It's the holistic, and we have to consider it because all the time we are engaged in different kind of emotions. What you very nicely have given wonderful analogies, and I love the way you just described that if you go to the office during driving you feel the different emotions, at office you feel different emotions. So it is all about the management of the emotions. Very rightly you pointed out that how impactful it is on our lives, particularly our success and most importantly our happiness and satisfaction. I think that's the wonderful part which you have highlighted, and so many questions we have received regarding the mental health and well-being which you have addressed very nicely. I think these are the things which you describe in a wonderful way. And I was watching the clock that for 40 minutes you just talked about this topic in so wonderful way that you were describing wonderful things in a nice way. And I love your energy level that I did not feel for a single second that your energy level is down and you are kind of tired, but you wanted to speak more and you wanted to connect more and you wanted to give more examples and draw different analogies in order to make it more simple for our audience from around the globe. And that I just felt that everything was coming out of your heart, out of the kind of obligation to share. So wonderful, wonderful speaker you are, wonderful narrator you are, wonderful storyteller you are. Very good. And I really appreciate the content which you have studied and the content you have organized for this webinar was so nice. But still there are certain questions which needs your clarification and illustration. So should we start with the first question, please?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, thank you. And you can see on the screen as well the question. The question is please share your opinion. In what ways can the emotional intelligence be integrated into educational curricula and workplace training programs? Because it is very important, the emotional intelligence, and how can we develop our curriculum in the way that it helps the students, and most importantly, at the same level at the workplace as well, because we interact with each other and we must harmonize and we have the smooth flow of work. For that, emotional intelligence plays a significant role. So please share your opinion on that.
Sure. Thank you so much for the question. So, in terms of the education sector, and of course, in the framework of the curriculum itself, it's very important for us to firstly get our teachers, the educator, to be very equipped with what this concept is about, because they're the ones who will have to infiltrate it into the curriculum to be able to teach it. So if you are not fully engaging and understanding and living this concept, then how are you going to be the example to your students? Because teachers and educators are actually there to teach, but our children don't just learn from what you are speaking in a classroom. Our children and our students learn behavior patterns. They watch your behavior, they watch your actions and your reactions. So teachers themselves have to be very emotionally intelligent, and they themselves have to understand this concept and live it. And that becomes the example that's led in a classroom. When it comes to curriculum, because the teacher itself is going to be so equipped with what this means, and it becomes their sort of second nature. To teach it doesn't become a necessary curriculum base. To teach it becomes what they love to teach. It becomes a passion base. And that means those children are going to be so in tune with who they are. And in terms of classrooms, education we define as classroom based, but education is life based. And when you teach these children that this topic of being emotionally intelligent is for you for life, automatically children will want to understand why. Children and students need to know that it impacts you as a person for you first. Kids today, we all know, love selfies. They love technology. They love to see themselves in photographs. They love all of these things, which means they're wanting to love themselves. So we want to teach curriculum base of emotional intelligence. Teach our children that this is beneficial for you first, so that they don't seek that outside validation. They become so in tune with who they are. It builds the self-esteem, it builds their self-confidence, and that is where it starts. But emotional intelligence, like we said, teaches the self-awareness. It teaches the self-regulation. And the earlier we can get that into a curriculum in a school for our children, the earlier that those children will have a broader mindset, a growth mindset about how to achieve in life. That obviously builds for better success when they're becoming, when they get into the work world, when they get into the corporates, when they get into professional and career choices. So that's where that is. In terms of workplace, it's very important for us to know you're never going to really know the next person that you're working with. Even though you're spending majority of your time in a workplace, you don't know that person as much as you may know somebody you're living with at home. But if you know yourself well enough, then you will know how you need to react to whoever is about you. The only thing you're encountering about the person that you are working with, any amount of people that you work with, is what they give off to you. So today, if somebody is very happy in front of me and tomorrow that same person is not so happy in front of me, I need to be able to take that cue to know my reaction to the person. So there has to be training programs in place, purely firstly for the management team, those leaders that have to lead those people. Because again, those people have to infiltrate that into their people, into the people that work for them, with them. And the most important thing for me in any working space, and I come from corporate, is we need to really stop with this hierarchy structure of organograms, where this is where the top person is and everybody else is underneath. I'm going to say this flatly. I disagree with that. That alone means people feel less than the other. We need to have organograms that make people feel like we won in a team. So here's who leads, here's the next one, here's the next rung, and every one of us work together. So when these training programs happen, do not do training for your emotional intelligence concepts with one group and not the other. Your bosses in your fields, your leaders and managers, and your people who work for you need to sit in the same congregation and be taught the same principles, because it applies to every one of them across the board equally. That makes us all feel like we're one. That makes us all feel like we're a team. So you're doing two things by doing it that way. You're building this team, so it's team building exercise, but you're also training the mind of every one of us. So when we leave that space, if I am the leader or I'm the manager, and this is my worker and this is my colleague, each one of us is understanding the same concept we were all taught, but we're then able to put it into what the role, my job entails, and what it means for me in my role to be successful. So I hope that answers the question, Dr. Shah.
Wow, very nice, very wonderful answer to this question. And I believe both of us, we have the same kind of responsibility as an education institution, how we groom our student. And I love your phrase regarding that emotional intelligence is not only restricted to the classroom learning only. It is the life skill, and they must be taught in a way that when they join the organization, they know how to respond to the people. And very nicely, you have highlighted the role of the emotional intelligence at workplace, particularly for the leading teams, how they are going to manage and how they are going to interact with each other for a greater cause, for to get the work done in a more appropriate manner. Very nice. And now another very interesting question. Since we live in the era of the artificial intelligence, technology, and so many things, and artificial intelligence significance is so great, and it is impacting our day-to-day lives even. So the question is related to the artificial intelligence, and they want to ask that can artificial intelligence and technology be utilized to enhance or teach emotional intelligence skills, since it is called skill that we can learn and we can develop? Yes, please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you again for the question. And I'm smiling because if it were not for artificial intelligence, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing right now. So talking about it in this manner is already creating an awareness of the actual concept itself. And the actual skills that we need to do and we need to grow and we need to develop as a person to make us become emotionally intelligent. Whether artificial intelligence can do that is how we're interpreting the artificial intelligence. Like I said earlier on, remember, we're going to have people that say whatever they want, but likewise, we have these devices and we have these different programs and different apps and we have different people all over the world that speak about different topics. If it's not going to impact me and I don't find it relevant for me, I'm not going to really bother about it. So again, who's in control then of what I'm taking in from the social media? Who's in control then of what am I taking in on these artificial intelligence platforms? Who is in control of that? It is still you as an individual. So the topics, emotional intelligence, are everywhere. If you Google it, you will find it everywhere. Right now, if somebody Googles it, they'll probably find our link of this actual event coming up. But what you take out of it is still within your control. What skills you develop from what we are teaching you on this platform, for example, we gave you concepts. If you take it in and you implement it in your life, or try and now Google again, what does self-awareness really mean? What skills do I want? You're using artificial intelligence to get that information out. And that you then implement in your life. But it's you ultimately as a person who is taking control of what you are feeding yourself from these devices, from these apps. And that is how you will then be able to enhance your skill based on what you are going to feed yourself from what you get. Artificial intelligence is going to be there for many years to come. And we can't, you can't ignore it. And everything that we are teaching is everywhere. How we take control of what we are getting out of it, that is dependent on us. So again, it goes back to what I started saying when I spoke earlier about you. If you know you and if you understand you, then you will know and become aware. I need more detail about how I can regulate myself when certain triggers happen. Let's just say you're somebody who understood what I was talking about when it came to self-awareness. And when I spoke, you realized that there is something that triggers you. You don't like certain sounds, they irritate you. What can I do to actually change that I don't become so irritable? Because I can't control the sound. I can control my reaction to the sound. You will then use artificial intelligence to go and Google or find something that's going to help you to learn a skill. How am I going to block it out? You can't stop the sound, but you can change certain things about you to control your reaction to it. How can I refocus? How can I reframe? Stuff like that. So artificial intelligence is there, and it is definitely going to stay. How we consume it, what we take out of it to digest healthily, is up to us. So that control still sits with us. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, wonderful. Very nicely said. And this is what we teach to our students on different level, that artificial intelligence, the information and knowledge is there, but it depends on you that how you are going to apply it in order to get the benefit out of it. And we usually say it's the double-edged sword. It has the pros and cons, but you need to consider that what are the pros and what are the cons and how you are going to use it. That is called intelligence and emotional intelligence, that how you are going to respond to it. I love your phrase that how you consume it and then how you implement it. That's the wonderful thing. Yeah. Now the last question, since we have the time limitation, again it is very interesting question. And the question is that are there any specific assessments or standardized tools used to measure the emotional intelligence accurately? It means that how can we gauge the emotional intelligence, whether we have enhanced it or at what level we are. Is there any standardized tools for that? Yes, please.
Sure. Again, thank you for the question. Like I did say something earlier on. And that is a lot of everything that we speak about when it comes to emotional intelligence is about you and your emotions. And everyone in their individuality is different from the next person. So when you have to come, for example, to one of the workshops you and I may host, and we have multiple people there, they're going to take the basic framework of what this is about. They're going to take the basic framework of what these different concepts are, but applying it into what they need for themselves is purely individual based. So no one tool is going to work for the next person unless that person can really be in tune with what we're saying. If I have to talk about something, unless it directly impacts you and gives you interest, you're not going to really listen to what I'm saying. So likewise, when it comes to these assessments, certain portions of an assessment I can do because you and I are trained in how to assess people. But if you want to assess yourself, the number one key is very simple, and it's not about a psychology theory. The number one key for you assessing yourself as an individual is your honesty. When you're doing and answering questions about yourself, are you answering these questions honestly? If somebody is asking you certain things about you because they want to help you grow and benefit you, the first key for your success in your assessment is to answer honestly. Because to be able to be aware of what has to change about you, to be able to regulate things about you emotionally, you are going to have to know that certain triggers are there, but know that they're honest answers. So your assessments have got to be from an honest base first, in order to trust that your changes to become more emotionally intelligent are true for who you are as an individual. Your individual capacity is key. And understanding your own characteristic traits, understanding your personality, understanding what about these things have to change, that's different for each person. So when it comes to actual assessment tools, we have them as professionals to be able to assess a person, to know what about you can and must change. But your answers about these questions that we will pose have got to be honest from you as a person, because otherwise it's not going to change. Nothing about you is going to change. And the change that we want to see in everybody is like, there is a saying, be the change. But in order to be the positive change for yourself, you have to want that change for you. And the change has to be all about honesty. I'm honest enough with myself to know this about me has to change. It might be hurtful, it might be painful to admit sometimes that there's certain things about you that are not good. But that is your growth process, and it's good. It's good for you to know certain negatives about you. And being somebody who's in tune with themselves is somebody who's able to know this is not good for me. I don't like this about me. I want to change this about me. So when it comes to assessment tools, we know as people are equipped enough to be able to do this assessment for you. But I'd say everything about your assessment is based on your being honest with you as a person first.
Yeah, very rightly said, and I completely agree with you that this is what we usually know ourselves more better than anybody else in the world. So if we are true to ourselves, so definitely, and I really second your opinion that we should be true, and we should be sometimes we don't feel good while admitting our weaknesses, but this is how the growth will start, that once we accept it and then we start working on it to overcome, and this is how we grow, and this is how people have grown, and they this is the way for the good and successful life. Really, it's wonderful because the way you are giving answer is so nice, and you are connecting the different dots in a wonderful way. But since we have this time limitation, so we have to wrap up, and you know that at the end of the session, we ask our each guest regarding their message to the world. So previously, you have given message to the world, but what is your message for this time for our audience from around the globe? Being the wonderful speaker, narrator, researcher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator, what is your message to the world this time? Yes, please.
Thank you for the opportunity. Right now the world is filled with so much of negatives, Dr. Shah, and lots of the emotions right now across the world that every single person is feeling are tense. Lots of our emotions are creating difficulties. We don't even know how to deal with what we see, what we hear, and it's creating triggers. These are triggers. And the triggers are creating emotions within us that we don't understand. Some of the things we just don't understand. How do we feel? How do we deal with what we're feeling? And right now, I just like to say to everybody, um, all of us want the peace. All of us want to see happiness. All of us want to experience the joys. All of us want conflicts to stop, wherever, whatever it is. We just want the actual peace. And I just like to say to everybody that peace starts within each one of us. If you develop a sense of peace within you, that no matter what I'm seeing, what I can do to try and change things is still within my control. We can't change certain things that are happening right now, but some of our reactions are what we can change. Our reactions have got to be peaceful. That's where the peace starts. And so we want that peace to develop. That peace automatically that you find within you brings your emotions into a peaceful mode. So no matter what the triggers may be, and as negative as the triggers are, your emotions might be feeling that negative initially, and then you become so in tune with your intelligence about your emotion that it becomes more peaceful when I go into my mode of what can I do to make this peaceful for my reaction. So we all wish peace for everyone across the globe. We always do. When we greet each other, we say we greet each other universal greeting with peace and blessing. So I just wish that for everyone across the globe now, no matter where you are, what you're experiencing, peace is with you, peace is within you, and we pray for peace for all of us with blessings, inshallah.
Yeah, wonderful message, Prof. Mehreen. Again, you have given to the world, and this is what the most of the great scholars, professors, or the educator, they usually say. The peace is the foundation, and it actually nurture the everything. So if we have the peace around the world, so definitely that will bring so many wonderful results. So once again, it was a pleasure listening to your wonderful wisdom and knowledge. And thank you very much for joining, and thank you very much for sharing your wonderful knowledge with our audience from around the globe. To the audience, that please do follow our distinguished guest speaker through her work, and you can email her or connect directly through social media or email. She is very generous and always ready to help the people. And moreover, wonderful explanation and powerful content which the great speaker has already elaborated will help you to learn and develop your understanding regarding the emotional intelligence. So that's all we have time for today. And thank you once again, Professor Dr. Mehreen Mia. And I would like to thank our audience who joined us. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session till next session. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.